I'm very happy to have two distinguished guests with me today. Mr. Rodney Sieh from the independent paper in Liberia, Front Page Africa, editor, and Kate Thomas, researcher and editor from the independent media project Ebola Deeply in London.
Journalen møtte Kate Thomas og Rodney Dean Sieh på SKUP-konferansen i Tønsberg i mars. De var der for å snakke om Ebola-epidemien som herjet Vest-Afrika i 2014 og medias dekning av krisa.
I would often watch CNN or BBC and see a segment and think, wow, this is really dramatic. And I would call friends or colleagues in Liberia or Sierra Leone and ask their opinion on this. And they would say, no, this is not the situation at all. It's actually quite different. It is very, very serious, but it's not the way it's necessarily being portrayed on the shiny screen.
Tilliten til myndighetene i Sierra Leone fortsatt lav etter borgerkrigen som herjet på 90-tallet og begynnelsen av 2000-tallet. Dette ble et stort problem når myndighetene skulle håndtere Ebola-krisa i fjor.
Often the government would say one thing and the rumor mill would say another thing, and often the rumor mill was right and the government was wrong. So people obviously, believed all these rumors that were flying around about Ebola, that it was a curse, that it came from things like you must eat this certain dish for 3 days, otherwise you will die from Ebola. These things people took very seriously because how do you trust the government when you've got that kind of legacy to deal with?
Thomas og Sieh forteller at det største problemet man møter som journalist i Sierra Leone å få tilgang til de papirene og de plassene man trenger.
I think, colleagues of mine who would go to Sierra Leone and Guinea, often they would find that they would need to be working more closely with NGOs, with aid agencies, because they were the ones that were leading them to where the stories were. It wasn't, Liberia is a very small country. It's a lot easier to get access in some ways. Sierra Leone and Guinea, you have to go through certain channels that you're more likely to run into walls than you are in Liberia. For instance, we had one reporter who went to Kono, one area, to look at the situation there. It was pretty bad at the time. He was refused access everywhere to quarantine villages, to doing interviews with officials. He was really just sort of blocked out. And I know that the international press was not, so there was certainly a bias against the local media at that time.
So it became a big news thing that the government was restricting coverage of Ebola, and they were not allowing journalists and photographers to take pictures. The government claimed that because of privacy issues, they were trying to protect the patients. The argument we made was like, why didn't you do this in the beginning when we were the one advocating for people to come and help by showing these images that you're now saying we can't publish? So the irony was very complicated, but the local media was very, very, insistent on covering the crisis to whatever means they could handle it.